I just wondered what, didn't have it set right.
At 9 o'clock, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. First on the agenda is approve the minutes of Monday, March 28th.
I'll make the motion.
Tim's moved.
I'll second.
Bob second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Miscellaneous motions. Move to approve proclamation proclaiming April 2022 as Fair Housing Month. Tongue twisters, too early in the morning.
I'll move.
Bob moves.
I'll second.
Don second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Move to appoint Jane Roth, District 4, as a member of the Coffee County Library Board to a 4-year term effective May 1, 2022 and ending April 30th, 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Tim's moved.
I'll second.
Don second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Move to approve resolution number 772-N, a resolution establishing the pay scale and classifications for the employees of Coffee County, Kansas. I'll move.
I'll second.
Jesse moves. Don second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Move to authorize direct the chairman to sign one tax abatement in the amount of $108.24. And I think it was, the reason was on there, I think sold the vehicle maybe?
Yeah. So in August of 21, so. Also moved.
Don's moved.
I'll second.
Tim second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I think that did us until, that's been done until 9:05. Couple minutes early, Rhonda. More clean.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Chris Christie at 941 10th Road in Burlington has requested to have the chicken coop and the house eventually come down. They are building a new house that's going exactly where the chicken coop is, so he wants to take that down right now, and then they'll live in the older house until the new one is completely done. So it might be a little bit of a time frame between the houses being done and everything. So I think Mike Smith is the one he's looking at to take it down, and then he'll also be doing the pad for the new construction house.
Okay, when, we usually don't do buildings, but I understand the reasoning why.
Right.
But when we do waive the landfill fees like this building, are they gonna bring that metal roof out and throw an iron tile?
Well, sometimes the metal does go out there unless they have a use for it.
Well,
Now,
I think, we're giving them landfill fees. I kinda hate the fact that they're gonna take what's sellable and sell it, and then bring the rest of it out. Free from a landfill.
I know when we used to do the demolition ourselves, the housing authority, sometimes the contractors like to go in if they can scavenge a little bit. I'm just saying that, they like to kind of get a little bit extra to do that, but.
And I understand that, but I'm also thinking.
No, I understand what you're saying
It
too.
can offset some of the expenses in the county
Right.
too.
Yeah.
I will use my district, I will move to waive those landfill.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Bob moved, Tim seconds, waive landfill fees for this property,
Especially if,
941 10th Road.
941 10th Road.
especially since we're getting a new home out of it and more
Yeah,
taxes.
exactly. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jesse, we had an addition this morning for 9:15, Burlington Mayor Stan Luke to discuss a fire hydrant issue.
Mr. Stan, we'll just throw you right on up
How
there.
about that?
Told me to the fire early.
As quick as you can get in, Dan.
Okay, I'll be out of here by 9:15. Just wanted to bring to your attention that the fire hydrant down near the road and bridge has established a leak, and we are going to have to shut down the 12-inch water line, everything south of Housatonic, for approximately 8 hours. We have received all the material. We are going to fabricate and put everything together so that we can minimize the time. 8 hours is about what it'll take to possibly lower the pressure enough that we might have to boil water. We want to get it done ahead of that. We anticipate being able to finish it in 6, but we're scheduling 8. That 12-inch line, like I said, serves Leroy, Gridley, the water districts. I don't know if the water districts or anyone has the capability of backfeeding from somewhere else. I don't know. Everything north of Housatonic will be in standard operation. We will meet with Gridley, Leroy, the water districts, the volunteer fire department, everybody that has the capability of maintaining water, putting water into the bulk tanks, getting their water towers filled, getting the standpipes in Gridley filled, all of those things, give them ample time, ample notice. We don't anticipate being able to do this until approximately around the end of the month. The routine maintenance that we're doing in town, they have taken down one of our water towers to finish doing the work they need to do there. So we would be caught short right now if we took and shut that down as well. And then it would minimize some of the water pressure capabilities that we have in-house. The leak, I'm not here to place blame, nor am I here to ask for money. The road and bridge has a 2-inch line that was to be used to fill their bulk tanks. However,
Off this hydrant.
off the 12-inch line, it's directly hooked up to the line with a valve on it.
Nothing to do with this hydrant.
No, nothing to do with this hydrant. When this hydrant was put in, back, I'm going to say the turn of the century, because I don't know exactly when it was totally installed, there was no valve installed with it. So if we'd had a valve, we could shut the valve to replace a hydrant and not worry about it shutting down the 12-inch line. But it's been at least 30 years since that fire hydrant was placed in there. It doesn't seal right. It was utilized to fill bulk tanks. They felt that it was faster to use the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant is a 2.5-inch line coming out of the hydrant. The 2-inch line that was installed specifically for the bulk tank filling wouldn't make much difference in the timeline in filling the tank. However, they've decided to use that sometimes. As a result, the valve did not operate fully open to fully close. It was open part way. Therefore, the seat would, when you start to close the valve, the seat will drop into place and then seal. if you don't open it all the way, it doesn't get the drop capabilities to drop down and seal. So it's gonna be replaced. It'll cost just as much to take out, put in the valve, and do the replacement of the fire hydrant. Almost as much as it will cost just to replace the fire hydrant. And so we have no choice. We want to make sure that this time the valve is in there in place like it's supposed to be. It'll be sometime around the end of the month. We don't know exactly when it will be yet. We will give everybody a minimum of a week's notice so that they can make sure they've got everything taken care of. I just wanted you guys to know about it so that there wasn't an issue coming down the road. You know, I'm not a farmer, so I don't know if a cow can go without water for 8 hours or not. I'm assuming they can, but we'll, like I said, do what we can to make sure we get it back. We might contact the county with respect to the utilization of some emergency lighting to place on the hold. We will start in the daylight. It'll be an evening project. It'll be done, we want to get all the digging and everything else done and locate everything before dark, because we don't know if there's communication wires or something, or a gas line or anything in there that we're gonna have to worry about.
Don't wanna go fishing.
No. We got a vac truck, we can do some of that, and it's a pretty good fish, you know, it can do pretty good, but we wanna make sure we get that taken care of and ready to go. We'll use the electric department's, one of their bucket trucks to lift the section out, the new section. We'll use the same thing to set it back down into place. They're in the process, like I said, of assembling it now, so it will be as good as we can, and as long as we're not hit with some big surprise, we'll be all right.
So you think going forward, the county highway department will have to utilize the spout that is used, that was put in there for them?
That would be highly recommended, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna put I'm gonna call it a seal on the nut on the top that you use to open it. We'll drill a hole through there. We'll put over on one of the other bolts a loop on top to run a wire seal through it and stamp it closed with some form of a stamping device, whether it's a piece of lead or what it is. That way we'll know when it's broken.
So when this county was using this fire hydrant,
Mm-hmm.
was the water being metered?
Some of it,
No, it all was.
okay, it all was.
We have a meter that had been used that was given to us from the city years and years ago.
Okay.
And that's always been used to fill that tank, most of the time for the magnesium chloride.
But what comes through the 2-inch line is metered, it's already metered through right?
That is a 2-inch meter, but it's a 1.5 or 1 1/4 inch line that fills the salt brine. So with the recommendation to not use that fire hydrant, then we'll probably set up a 2-inch line off that 2-inch meter and then use that later. So,
Yeah, the meter won't have to be replaced.
no, we just
It just
basically
increase
come
line
off it.
size on the
Yep.
on the load side.
When did this start leaking?
Oh, we found it probably maybe up to 6 weeks ago.
Was it around the time that, the county barn caught fire?
That I can't answer for sure.
I
I remember when-
almost wondered, I wonder if they hooked to the fire hydrant there
Well, they probably did.
for supply. Sometimes you can water hammer those,
Yeah.
gosh darn it,
The valves.
yeah,
The gate valve, it's the gate.
Yeah.
I wonder if something,
I
I'd
don't
say
know.
timeline, I mean, hard to pinpoint.
Yeah.
When, but we've had.
Like I said, we're not pressing
Right.
for.
Right.
But I would say if we have another way available, that we use it and would not be using a fire hydrant. It sounds like that's what their preference would be, so.
Yeah, that would be the preference. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we'll let everybody know ahead of schedule. We'll schedule everything with all the appropriate people that would be involved. We'll use our own electric and water department to do all the work. And like I said, it might be a maximum of 8 hours, hopefully more like 6. And we'll start 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening where we've got 3 or 4 hours of daylight to work and get that basic dug out. Because we don't know if it's in concrete, we don't know anything about it until we get down there. But the 12-inch line has got some pretty good pressure in it, so.
Sure does, yep.
So, but that's what we're looking at doing, and we'll let you know exactly, when we're gonna be actually doing the work.
Sounds like you got a good plan in place, so hopefully it'll all work out.
You aren't the only one that hopes that. So, that was all I had for this morning, so Bob, no money, no, nothing else.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Stan.
Stan.
Wayne, we're a little early,
Okay.
might as well.
I told you I'd get you out here.
Yeah, you did good,
Yeah, I visited with Jeff on that. For this year, we're actually gonna set up a line at the landfill, pump out, and we're gonna pump out on the ponds. So, in the past, wasn't necessarily available, but that water meter that has always been used basically on there. And we'd even call the city and let them know how many gallons we used. So, we'd be billed accordingly. Okay, I have a couple of things. Special issue check.
I've got too much stuff on my desk. Just slide it underneath.
Did you get motions on this one? Did you? Okay. All right. Construction zone, just a couple of things going on. We're looking at 3 more summer help, hopefully next week. Once we basically get them cleared, we'll be bringing them in.
You had some applicants then?
Yes, well, and some of it was folks that we've used before, so, yes. And then Jeff's going to Wichita today and checking out the truck that he spoke about here last week. And so if that's a go, we'll probably bring that in here next week as well. The next one, before I go into motions, if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and visit with you about dust control. I know we're gonna go into that, but I think by having maybe this pre-discussion, it'll help us into that motion. Was gonna hand carry basically our mowing bids, but I forgot to get it before I came, so I might come back on those, if you don't mind. The mowing bids, as I'm just visiting about them now, we have a low bid. They're out of county, so we went through the 5% preference. They still met low bid, and so and we also asked them about the insurance. They said that they're aware of the insurance, they could get it. So I'll bring that back for you.
Is that something I can call Hannah and have her email it to me?
Oh, that'd be great. Yes, I forgot about that. She had it all ready for me. The next one is the dust control. This is our form that they fill out. You'll see a price on here at $1.60, but I'd like to visit with you about that to see which way you want to go. $1.60 would be my recommendation, but if you want to do more and there's going to be reasons why you'd want to, then that's the discussion we'll have. So, for the most part, we run 36,025 feet for all the dust control. That's over 50-some residents. But just to get down to it, unless you want to visit about it exactly, gallons last year for magnesium was $1.16. This year was $1.19 and 4, so 1.194. I don't know why they had to carry it out, but I guess it makes a difference when you run into thousands of gallons. So our price last year for the amount of gallons that we were using, for the price that we were paying, we paid $59,698.00. For that, we were reimbursed $54,000 $37.50. That was at the $1.50, okay?
What was the price per gallon for us last year?
Was $1.16. So, yeah, I went through the math on that too, Bob, so, that's 300 feet, that's residents, $450 for an average 300 feet. Some folks get a little bit more, but 300 feet's kind of the average, so we're just running it at 300 feet. Okay, at the $1.19, what you have is 61,242, providing it's the same amount of footage and gallons that would go along with it. So, using the numbers that we had used last year, and then just basically changing that to the new gallon price of 61,242. So, if you kept it at $1.50, the difference, this is what you really need to know, is the difference would be $7,204.
Where
So-
the difference last year was 5,000,
Yes, sir.
give or take a little.
Yeah. And so, this one, then at $1.60, is a 6.7% increase from the $1.50. That would be $3,602 and some change. Okay, if you do a $1.70, that's 13.3% change from the $1.50, and that would be only pennies, it'd be 34 cents, almost right where you'd want it to be, but, we have held $1.50 for over 5 years, and Bob probably has a better memory on it than I do, but we've
I
had,
didn't realize we'd been that high that long. I thought we'd been below that.
well, it's been over 5 years on the $1.50.
Really?
I know that we had it at $1, well, it's been lower at different times, but I know it was $1.30 there for a couple years.
Yeah, it
And
was
then we-
even below that, and I didn't
Yes, it
realize
was.
it'd been that high that for 5 years.
For 5 years, we've held it at $1.50.
I think it was $5.50 when I started, I think.
So, that's, so it's kinda like, well, it sure seems at this point, unless you wanna, offset, and there is some value to it. I mean, the $1.50 is a still good number. I mean, $7,000 is what you're basically, supplementing. And that's just for the magnesium chloride. We're not talking about the water, we're not talking about the gravel, we're not talking about reshaping the road right in front of the home. The only thing we're talking about is compensation for direct material cost, and that would be the magnesium.
Why can't we break even on applying the magnesium? Because if people wanted to do this, it'd cost them $3 a linear foot to have somebody come in and do it. The county is providing the company to come in and do it. The county comes in, shapes the road, puts the gravel on. I mean, you're not even paying for that cost that you would have to have paid for to have it done anyway. Well, and plus the permission of the county to spray it on the road.
Yes.
So I don't know why we can't just break even on this deal.
Well,
I was gonna ask that same question
I
this
mean-
morning, because it's a benefit to the people. They choose to live in the country. If they don't want dust blowing on them, then they're the ones that should be paying the difference.
I mean, I get 600 foot every year, you know, and it's a blessing to have the county bring this to us as a benefit, and why should the county lose money at it? That's just what I'm saying.
Even at this cost, are we breaking even?
we're not.
No,
We're
we're
not
not.
breaking.
No.
Now, one of the things
No,
too
not
is,
even close.
at the $1.50, it's $450 for 300 feet. At the $1.60, it's $480 for 300 feet. At $1.70, it's $510 for 300 feet. So those are things you're looking at too.
What would-
Breaking even on the magnesium.
Would be the $1.70 would be pretty darn close. Would be breaking even on the magnesium.
What would it cost to break even on 300 feet? I mean, break even. The magnesium, the labor, everything.
Well, no, I don't have that number because we never looked at it that way. Yeah,
Every location's gonna be different depending on the preparation.
well, it's always been that the magnesium, the dust control, that the additional cost, as far as like the water, as far as the grader, as far as the gravel, was considered to be maintenance. you're gonna have maintenance out in front of that road anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So it might be just that one particular spot that we're gonna basically advance time to get there and get it done. But meanwhile, that landowner still has that maintenance. Now, some of the advantages of that too is when you do the dust control in front of the house, you generally, after that initial maintenance, you generally have less maintenance. You don't go through and we don't actually disturb that dust control unless there's potholes, but otherwise we jump over that section because you can always see it to be darker. So we jump over that section and blade the rest of the roads and add gravel as we need to. So that section actually becomes, you know, some people would argue with us, but we only really blade it when we have potholes, when it becomes unsafe. But so we try to stay off of it. By staying off of it, we're also reducing the amount of time and material that we add to it later. So it's always been the thought of past commission is to say, well, that's just going to be considered maintenance. Let's just consider it maintenance, and we won't bill accordingly. We'll just basically look at the magnesium cost. So some things to consider is not only basically the jump in price, which would be $1.50 to $1.70 if you want to just break even on the magnesium. $1.70 would be the break-even point. But some of the things to take into consideration too, by having dust control, you do improve the county roads for the most part, not only as far as minimizing the potholes that develop on a given county road, because you'll have less potholes on those sections. You also improve the environment. A lot of people don't see this, but that dust does affect basically the health. We've had folks here come in as early as last year talking about how the dust basically on a road affects them. That's one of the roads that we hauled on. I believe you'll remember that one. And so you do have that. You do improve the roads a little bit in that regard. But you'd also, by magnesium, you're also, if you apply, you're actually strengthening the road base in that area too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons why you're not getting the potholes. But
How many locations did you say you've done?
about 50 or so. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's pretty close to that. Residents that take part into it in the county.
Well, I think we'll at least break even on the magnesium because you're putting it on 300 feet for Tim. I'm here down the road. I can't afford to put it on, but I'm still paying taxes to put it on Tim's.
Okay.
And so if we're breaking even on the magnesium, then I don't feel so bad because you're doing the road maintenance anyway.
Okay.
That stuff's fine.
And that's why I wanted to have this discussion with you. So if that is then what we'll do is when we go to that motion, we'll just basically state the price onto it.
Which $1.70 would break us even.
Which $1.70 breaks you within pennies,
Right.
Bob, so
Right.
not 100%.
It's only
but
gonna recover you $3,000, 60, that'd be an increase of 60 times 50. 50 locations. Yeah. Of course, how many of them are 600
Well,
feet versus 300?
Yes, you'd have to break up
Your
those
numbers
numbers.
aren't coming out.
Well, you'd have to break up those numbers. I'm just taking the total footage, which is 36,025 feet. Okay? Then you basically, what that amounts to is 51,464 gallons, and I think that's the number you don't have, Don. You're looking at 51,464 gallons. And so now what you're doing is multiplying it times last year's price of magnesium is $1.16. This year's price is $1.194. And so last year's the gallons per what we purchased it at is $1.16 was $59,698 and some change. This year if we get the same amount, we would have $61,242.16. So then if you take that $1.70 times your total lineal feet, which is the 36,025, you're going to come up to pretty darn close. It's going to be $61,242.50 is what you're going to come up to on that one, Don.
For the 39,402, that's based on 33,000, and yet you're figuring 36,000.
It's 36,025 feet.
See, that gets your cost up to 43,200, and not 39, which is kind of immaterial, but
My calculations
Cause
come
they
up
bid on
with
33,000.
33,025 feet. But the gallons is what you're needing, the gallons is the number that you'll
That's what-
look
that's what I'm
at.
looking
That's
at.
51,464 gallons is what we used last year.
That's irrelevant to me. $1.70 will break us even,
It'd
right?
break us pretty, it'd be pretty close,
Okay.
within pennies.
I think we ought to at least
So
break
if you wanna
even
do
on a
$1.70,
$1.70.
okay.
I mean, it's a service and
It needs to break even.
Did she provide the motion with that?
No, this is all I got. That's all I asked her for.
Oh, well, we need probably the motion, would be what she's, could you ask her again on that
And the
one?
motion that goes with the,
With this, yeah, the motion for the summer should be this one here, Darren Kirshner.
Yep.
And it should be that $32 for each one, 32, 25, 45.
Okay.
So, she's gonna get the motion that I should have had, with me, but the one in the red on the far right, since we're just looking at it and I'm talking about it, the one in the red is the 5% added, and that is just to verify that basically they're still low bid. But what we're gonna be paying for is the one underneath their bid themselves, which would be the 32, 25, 45, 40. Okay, the one in red, this sheet I would not have given you, but since I didn't bring it, we got the wrong sheet for you, but that's okay. The red basically shows the 5% increase, so you have to multiply 5% times the low bid, and then if that basically makes them still low bid, then they qualify to be low bid within our in-county purchase. So that's why that red there is for that purpose. But we'll get to that one here in a little bit. So, if you'd like, and since we've had some pretty good discussion there, and I'm seeing where we're being directed for the $1.70, then I just go into my engineer's report. So, in the engineer's report, the March landfill waste summary is shown. We have one full-time heavy equipment operator for a CP5 or CP2, and did you all get a copy of that one?
I think I seen something in here.
Didn't that person work for us once before?
Larry had worked for us twice, 2 summers. Larry Johnson, he has worked for us 2 summers. So, and I'd sent an a memo email to Wade this morning. And at this point, I don't know if we had any concerns with it. So with that one, these would be the CP2s. Once you guys approve those, I don't want to jump around here too much. I need to get back on where you can follow me.
Yeah.
So,
What's the difference between heavy equipment operator and equipment operator?
that's the new wage chart.
Everybody have equipment now?
We only have heavy equipment operators and above.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Of course, the truck drivers, they're in their own class at this point, but, we do have, then you have like, specialty equipment operators such as that, but. Okay, so to stay on track then, I would ask that on the motions, Jesse to try to follow me. It looks like my motion is, I don't know why I don't have a motion for that one.
For what?
For my CP2, I don't have a motion for that one.
I've
Well, we've got them in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the white page.
Yeah, Angie's gonna have to help me on that one. Do you have a,
For both employees,
Yeah.
yeah, there's CP2
sort of
motion.
CP2
Yeah, it's on the very
motion?
back.
It's on the very back.
Very
page.
back.
Yeah.
We've got,
Very back page. Okay,
we've got a copy of those 2 motions.
I do too. It's on the very back page. All right. So, the motion, the 2022-01 would be for Larry Johnson as a heavy equipment operator.
bringing him as waste classification 35, a step of 6, market value for the 2022.
Yep, CDL.
Yes, sir.
What did he do for us before?
He worked on the summer crew with the CDL and the asphalt group is where he worked, I believe.
Well, I'd already heard 3 weeks ago he was coming to work for us.
Mhm.
Just wondered, that's,
Well, we have
seems
to,
like that maybe we should hear that they were gonna hire these people before we hear it out on the street.
well, the CP2 is, not to get into any type of debate with you on that one, Bob, but our motion basically is to hire and basically do the process of hiring the person. So we do the interviewing and we also hire. And so we've always came back to you for the CP2 is to put it in the payroll. The CP2, basically according to your motions that you had to follow the guidelines from McGrath, states that the department head has the ability to hire on step 1 and then step 6 with discussion with the county attorney. I can hire on step 6. Anything above step 6 requires your involvement, and that one, I would totally agree, I need to visit with you first, prior to that.
Well, no, I'm just saying is, I know there's a procedure to do, but evidently, he had been told 2 or 3 weeks ago that he had the job. How come you weren't in here the next week getting the approval? And I don't mind that you say, okay, we got it if the commission approves it, and they go out and start talking in the public. You can't control that.
Well,
But I think we need to be speeding up. If we're gonna hire someone, we tell them we're hiring them, then it needs to be getting to us so we can actually get the job done.
well, part of that was, Bob, was, 1 is we have to do the drug test. 2, we had a couple of weeks trying to figure out the insurance because it was a new way of doing the insurance. So as far as the conversation and the interview on that person, him and about 4 other folks, was already done almost 2 months ago. And we were going through the steps to get here. And so that's why it's taking so long.
Okay.
They may have put the information out there and not even know it's gonna be hired yet.
Well, as far as
There's people that jump the hoops on that when it comes to I'm not
sometimes
trying to be,
it's just
there's people
small,
that anticipated being hired
yeah.
and officially haven't been hired.
You're saying
Well,
the
there's-
same thing I'm saying.
There's one
You're saying the
person,
same thing.
there's one person like that right now, basically, we had to go through the drug test and physical, and then the driver's license check first, before we could actually say, hey, you're hired, because that has to be passed first. And then once we've done that, this person still has a job. So they wouldn't want a public hearing to understand that this person's being hired. And then you say, I can go in executive session. He's not a county employee.
Yeah.
I can't go into executive session.
It takes a long time from point A to point B,
It does.
or from start to finish.
So I've tried always to fall within lines of what we could do, but definitely if anybody's above a 6, we'll definitely be visiting with you, because then that's a hiring procedure. Even though it's not a county employee, I don't even have to talk about that. I can just say what their qualifications are, and we've done that before. But I think some of that, Bob, that you have out there that's been in the public for so long is just how long it dragged out.
When you have
Now-
the testing going on and stuff, you're pretty sure that you're gonna get hired when you're going through that.
Well, but now with the new insurance requirement, you know, you may think you have a good driving record. You may not.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't know
Okay,
until
you
we
may-
get those done.
You made a comment, if it was above a 3, you had to talk to the county attorney?
County attorney and I have
Is
basically...
that in the policy?
Yeah,
Okay, it's in the new policy?
yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm totally lost on some of that new policy.
Yeah.
But the county attorney doesn't do the hiring, so,
No, he just basically says, yes, everything's good with market value for this employee.
okay.
Yes.
That policy is,
That's a good thing.
it's creating a lot of confusion.
It's new ways of doing things, so
A lot of
sometimes it
confusion.
is.
Okay, so we need to move on the 2020, or 2022-01.
I feel I crossed my T's and dotted my I's, so I'd like to move forward. That'd be my recommendation, is those 2 employees. One is for Larry, the other one is for Nancy. Now, Nancy knows that there's no benefits that comes with the part-time, and knows it's basically 1,000 hours for the whole year. And so that's what you have.
So it's Nancy summer help, basically?
Not summer help, it's for the whole year. Not
Part-time office.
just, but she's still part-time, but she has no benefits.
Part-time is how much?
Less than 1,000 hours. Yeah, that's what you directed
You
me.
can't go above 1,000, you're gonna pay benefit package.
Yeah,
The way it
that's,
used to be, and I'm sure it still is.
that's what I understood, so.
Okay, motion 2022-01, move to review and approve CP2 for Larry Johnson, new hire for heavy equipment operator in the
Assistant crew.
assistant crew, full-time, subject to regular IPP wage classification of 35-6 with a wage of 2022 effective 4/4/22.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Tim's moved, Don seconded, any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Motion 2022-07, move to review and approve CP2 for Nancy Peters, new hire for office support associate, part-time, subject to regular IPP, wage classification of 20-1 with a wage of $15.67 effective 4/4/22. I'll move.
I'll second.
Bob second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
And I'm with you on all the changes, so I'm just trying to keep up.
Good luck keeping up.
A lot.
So, Wade's helped me through that as well, and so, he actually was one helped me, reminded me on the, bringing that step 6 for Larry to visit with him. Like I say, a little late this morning, but I got it to him this morning. You didn't have any problem with that memo, did you?
No.
Everything was good? All right. Had over 30-some-odd years of experience, so, yeah, should've been good. Should be good. Okay, the next one is the salt bids, and, so low bid, and you can see where, we did get a bid from Central Salt, but then the other two, no bid. We send it out, but I let you know that we send it out. If they bid on it, we call them, we ask them, did you receive the documents? They say they do. And then at the end of it, we ask them, or we remind them again that basically the bid is due the next day, because we call at least twice if we haven't received their bid. If we've already received their bid, we don't call them, obviously, but we'll call them too. So we give them every opportunity to bid on it, so they just choose not to bid. And so that's where we're at. We had 4 of them that we solicited. Nice trucking, $60 per ton, approximately 1,500 tons, or not approximately, it's 1,500 tons. And that's where we're at.
I'll let Bob read the motion.
2022-14, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer, moved to find that the bid for bulky salt, de-icing salt on March 30th, 22, as per specification of ASTM Grade 1 road salt, be awarded to Knight Trucking LLC of Lebo, Kansas. As the best bid, and to purchase same for the sum of $60 per ton for 1,500 tons for the cost of $90,000. Funds to be paid from the Road and Bridge Fund.
Also move.
I didn't move, but
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All
Abstain?
abstain.
3-0-1.
Okay. The next one is, dust control, and that one would be, I would inject somewhere in that one, Jesse, the $1.70,
$1.70.
in that motion, where you see fit.
At $8.70,
At $1.70 per lineal foot, yeah, that would work.
but presented by the county engineer and direct, okay. Motion 22-15, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve county engineer's request to approve the dust control program for 2022 at $1.70 per linear foot,
There you go.
presented by the county engineer and directed the county clerk to publish notice of same.
Good.
That sound okay?
Yeah.
I'll move.
Bob's moved,
I'll second.
Tim second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4.
We had to move back the date because we're waiting on these bids, on magnesium chloride, which is the next one. We had to move back the date as far as receiving the information for them to sign up. So it's the first Monday in May is gonna be basically the cutoff time. We continue to get stragglers that just comes in, they're just late. We try to accommodate what we can, but once we've ordered that chemical, we're set. We're pretty much set. So after that, you know, procrastination or forgetting or just don't get it done, it will have a stop. And we don't have any other way of collecting magnesium chloride nor storing it. Only thing we store is calcium chloride. We have one tank, and that will not work as well. So the next motion then goes in and basically, as we sent bids to Scottwood, they have been the ones that we've received bids multiple times. Carter Waters, there were no bid received from them. And those were the only two that we were aware of that had the product.
What happens if half of the people decide they don't wanna do it this year? And we go ahead and we're looking at approximately 33,000 gallons.
We're not contracting the 33,000 gallons.
Okay, that's just approximately what you think it might be, okay.
We're really contracting a tanker load is really what we're contracting, so it's by tanker is really what we're gonna be.
How many gallons in the tank?
Over 5,000,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna be pretty heavy.
yeah, that's a full tank, so, yeah, the specific gravity onto it's gonna be a
Very
little different.
heavy. Okay, motion number 2022-16, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer, move that the bid submitted by Scottwood Industries in the amount of $1.194, thank you,
Yeah,
per gallon be approved as best bid for magnesium chloride, and that award be made according to the terms of the bid dated March 30th, 2022, funds to be paid from the Road and Bridge Fund.
I'll make some motions.
Tim moves,
I'll second.
Don second, any discussion?
They're pricing that kinda like gasoline now.
Yeah, I know, yeah. No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4.
they could have made it easy and just rounded up a penny,
Yeah,
and they'd made more money.
wouldn't matter to us one bit.
But it's kinda like, well, if you're gonna
Yeah.
put it at 1.194, we'll pay you at 0.19.
Exactly.
So, okay, so the next one is, straight line striping. Straight line striping, once again, is low bid. I apologize, I believe the numbers are pretty close to last year, and maybe she does have, Hannah really helps me out with these, so she does have this in here. And so, last year was $19.37 applied. And so,
You've got, that's 353 increase,
yeah, so that's the increase,
and
and
it's 15%.
and it could have been a lot more, and if we don't move on it, it is gonna be more, because the petroleum product is basically making the, part of the chemical process of the paint.
What's that cost, you normally, I think, have always had the cost for the season, which is 80,000 or 90,000, yeah,
Pretty close to that 90,000.
it's gonna be 90 to 100 this year, won't it?
Yes, sir.
Because your miles is
61 miles, yeah.
61, I think it was even 61 a year ago. So we're probably up in that 90 plus.
We're now, where we'll have it is we'll have basically all of our hot mix, all of our chip seals, and then there might be a section, I think on this particular one, we have a section of restriping, and that would be the plant road because of the volume density and striping basically starts fading. About after 2 years, really, it starts fading. And so maybe your higher traffic roads, you might want to go a little bit more, start striping those a little bit more frequently. Otherwise, it's only like every 5 years whenever we're doing, every 5 to 8 years whenever we're doing it.
Maintenance on it.
Maintenance.
I know it's not our project, but I was on 75 here 2-3 weeks ago when it was raining a little bit.
Yeah.
You had no idea where the sides were.
Yeah.
Zero.
I haven't been here. Have we already restriped from Fauna to Angus on Old 50? Have we moved those
Yeah,
stripes?
no, that was done, yeah.
They're,
Well,
I haven't been.
They
up
moved
there.
them in, but they're still not right. But they moved them in.
Okay.
It's where we measure, yeah. We talked about that last year.
Yeah.
Went out there and measured it, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion 2022-20, based upon the recommendation of county engineer, move that bid received March 30th, 2022 from Straight Line Striping in the amount of $22.90 for both edge striping, center striping, for the cost of the material per gallon and application for striping project S2201-C to be paid from Road and Bridge Fund.
I'll second.
Jesse's moved, Don seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Okay, the other one, which, once again, I appreciate Andrea's help in, getting that, that would be the summer mowing. We've done everything we can. Now, if this person that is low bid, does not come through with the documents that we basically stated on the invitation to bid, that would be the insurance and also basically the statement for the workman's comp, then we'll go to the next low bid, but we'll bring it back to you to let you know if it fails that way. Once again, they are Lyon County resident, but they met the 5% in-county review, and so that's where we're at.
Once they
So-
secure the insurance that we're requiring, is their bid gonna stay put?
Their bid stays put. We're only approving it for the $32 for Hope Cemetery, $25 for New Strawn, $45 Park at Old 50,
Okay.
and Rock Creek is $40. That is correct. That'll hold.
Is that a month, or is that every time they mow?
Every time they mow.
Every time they mow,
Yeah. So sometimes, obviously, you could be once a week.
once a week.
But I think we're all to opinion, at least on staff, we're definitely all to the opinion that, how do you do it for that price? Pretty low.
Gas is pretty darn expensive, and then you gotta have your workman's comp on top of that as well.
And your insurance.
And your insurance.
Rock
Yeah.
Creek Cemetery, they mow around all the stones and everything
Yes,
for $40.
$40. But you're looking at, Rock Creek would be the one north of there, not the one right out on Old 50. Rock Creek is actually just north of the cemetery right there at Old 50.
30 stones, that's still,
It's not many, but yes, they still do go around those
$40.
stones.
Who handles the cemetery on Emmer Road, south of 22nd?
Emma Road south of 22nd. Well, now, we go to the old, that's the Hope Cemetery for the $32 is, the one that basically used to be an old rock quarry, and they have those big rocks around the corners
So
of
that's on
it.
Emmer?
I believe so.
So that's the one they call the Hope Cemetery?
That's the one we call the Hope
Okay,
Cemetery.
okay.
Yeah, it's on Emmer, but it's the one that has the big chunk of rock on the corners. It's a small cemetery, but
Right,
there's mowing around that.
right.
nice, for mowing around all them stones.
Well, to get there, I mean, if you take a look at where you're traveling, you're going at least 20 miles from one spot to the next. I mean, that's, so,
Yep. Okay, motion number 2022-17, based upon recommendation of the county engineer, move to find that bid submitted by Dalen
yes.
Kistner Mowing for Mount Hope Cemetery, half mile south, right there was the address, 22nd and Emmer, in the amount of $32 per event. New Strawn Monument, 16th and Fauna, in the amount of $25 per event. Park at Old 50 Highway, the amount of $45 per event. The Rock Creek Cemetery, in the amount of $40 per event, with a combined cost of $142 per event to be paid, to be approved as the best bids for seasonal mowing, and all bids awarded according to the terms of the bid funds to be paid from road and bridge funds.
Does anybody kind of monitor this to see if they mow often enough or too often or anything like that?
Yes, one is they submit their invoice, Jeff signs off onto it, and basically if there's more that they need to mow, the coordination's between them and Jeff, our road supervisor. So that's how it's set up. There's been times where we'd call them back out and mow again.
Okay, well, I was curious, since it's a new person doing it, if it,
Yeah.
Also move, Jesse.
Don's moved,
All second.
Tim second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. I'd like to see it stay in county, but,
yeah, I would too.
I mean, you try to do everything you can with the 5%. I've kind of thought that should be moved up to about a 10%, but
And no, I would strongly advocate for it myself, but here you go, Don. I know it's right, Michelle did it. The magnesium chloride.
okay. Does that handle all your motions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I just need to sign your these CPs.
Okay. I'd very good with those. And we'll do the dust control program at $1.70 per lineal foot. So.
If somebody wants to control their costs, have they got the right to go less than 300 feet?
We keep it at the 300, so
To me, that's what,
we do the minimum. There is, of course, they can do more, so we do have that.
Oh crap, I gave you the wrong ones. I signed the wrong ones. I'll re-sign these. These were the,
Well, we need a minimum, because otherwise,
It'd be 100.
you got it.
you gotta have,
Yeah, you can't do it. You gotta have one standard there somewhere,
Yeah.
or numbers out.
yeah, these are the ones that Wayne had already signed and I didn't even notice it.
Wayne has already signed it, that's what.
I messed up. I signed the wrong ones.
Oh, okay.
Well, Jeff's going Wichita once again, he's looking at that truck, if it's an okay, he's gonna go ahead and say yes, and then just come back and get the motion to purchase it from you. So we know that's coming. We're still not at a full complement of employees, full-time, but working on it.
You having anybody really come in and,
We got it, we're working on our summer help right now. So summer, we're going, I think we mentioned this a couple weeks back, we're doing our 410s now. So we're on our 410s, so the crews that will be out Monday through Thursday, thank you.
They have to be 18.
Yes, without your approval. With your approval, I can come in with somebody under 18, but we haven't done that, that I can think of.
Probably kinda need a
Yeah.
guideline on that too.
The old policy said we'd have to get your approval, anybody under 18. I think it might be an insurance thing that Angie would really have to look at and say, do you really want to have that liability?
I'm not sure anybody under 18 could work for us legally.
Yeah. Be an
It
insurance.
wouldn't be much that individual could do.
Yeah.
Well, they can up to 16.
I'm sorry?
If they can at 16.
16 on.
But they only do certain things, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Camera and powered
Thing.
equipment.
yeah, they may not be able
Power
to do that,
tool.
but
They can't do much. I think
They
we're
can't
better off
do-
staying with
Can't
18.
do much, we don't need them, do we?
No.
I just,
A lot of times people put, they'll put them out to flagging. And this is one I kinda get on my soapbox on.
Dangerous position in the county.
That is the most difficult, the most important position,
Dangerous.
and the most dangerous. And it's the most tedious. Nobody wants it. It's a tough job. And, I got a story where a guy was, two surveyors were surveying. One guy was watching the guy dig the hole instead of looking for traffic. A van came up and hit them both. Killed one, put the other one in the hospital. That's how dangerous it is. And that flagger basically is in charge of 10 folks out there that has their head down and doing their work. So, very important job.
And that flagger is mostly full-time standing on asphalt.
And it's hot,
For the summer.
yeah. They don't wanna be
So
there.
how many part-times have you, summertime, have you got?
We got three, basically in the pipeline, so what I'm calling on pipeline is we have to do the drug test, and now we're doing the insurance check. So those things all have to be done first, and then I come back with you on the CP2s, but I have at least 3 now, and I believe those were prior, summer help folks that we have, that we should see here, next week or week after. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
I think that,
Go ahead, I'm gonna pick up my hat.
ends our book for
We're
today.
taking
Yep,
a
the
break
book's
now.
done. But we're not yet done either.
No, we're not done, but the book's done. Mr. Richard.
I don't know if you're gonna take a break.
Oh, we don't need a break.
Break, make.
Tim's not looking at me cross-eyed yet, so.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
You're okay.
Okay, so I haven't got any answers I want on my side yet, but, for you guys, economic development wise, how do you want the money taken care of? On the loans, the interest that's in the account?
I would like to keep it in the economic development and maybe hopefully one of these days not really have to fund that other than off of interest. I don't know what everybody else is saying.
I don't see why we wouldn't just put it back in there.
Unless somebody has different.
And, well,
ideas.
my question was, only comes back to, it was general money that you started with, so
Right.
general funds should, that was the only thing I was thinking. But then also, we had not quite 300 in there total, and if you do the math, there's over 600 in loans now, because we just had to put another 300 in. And I know there's another loan coming up for another 100. So did you want to put more in it and say, okay, that's where we're gonna stop? Or we're gonna
You
keep
need more
going?
total dollars for another project?
Mhm.
I think we talked about that the other day, both ways.
Instead of just
You know, just,
nickel and diming you, let's put in another $500,000, or, bring it to a million total, which actually is $500,000.
Well, if we know we're gonna need this, I would say, let's put it in instead of, like
See,
you said,
one of my
we'll
other
get it at the
questions-
time, But we know this is what we're doing.
That is not answered by you guys, but I was with the bank I was on, anyway, got cut off, and I didn't like the answer they gave me last time, so I want someone else. But if I'm gonna gain more interest in this account than I am just letting it sit somewhere else where I can't gain interest, why not pre-fund it? And then again, it's there to use, and once you guys approve a loan, the money's already there.
Right.
But that goes back to, if your fund has $1 million in it, then let's keep the fund at $1 million, and all of the money generated goes back to the taxpayers that the tax was levied against, so then we can use it for the county. Because that's kind of what it's there for. And there needs to be a minimum threshold interest rate, by the way, because every
Yes.
loan has a risk.
Yes.
Even the best people in the world have risk, whether it's a car accident, heaven forbid, whatever.
I think standardizing the loans, the interest, for George, Billy, and Susie all be the same. I brought that up a while back.
And And yeah, I don't know if it's standardized, but at least a minimum, whatever, 2.5%, 3%, whatever. 17.
One.
I mean, are we trying to be a bank, or?
Right.
But that's a totally different question. But anyway, it comes down to, do we want to pre-fund some more, or just go along with we are and nickel and diming you guys every time you want some money? And then what happens with the interest? Keep it in, or fund it where the taxpayers were levied their tax, and so the interest made on that is technically interest on taxpayer money, which probably should go back to general.
That may be an auditor's question too, where you can put it. With all these new auditing regulations, you know, if it came down the tubes here 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 or 5, Phil may be the one that can tell us, should tell us where we need to put it, or where it can go. And I don't know.
I think on that, he'll tell us anything, because the way it's been is, you know, because there's always been, like I said, a couple $100,000 in there, and interest just stays in the account.
Interest stays in there.
But it's not that much. I mean, like this year it will be $13,000.
It either has to go back there or where the money originally came from, one of the two.
Mhm.
General
Real simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta go one of those two places.
I think a check at year end towards general fund is the way to do this, as opposed to more headaches with, okay, Bob, you just made your payment of, you know, $5,000 for the year. Well, 4,500 goes here, 500 goes there. That's just more headache amongst us, whereas if we put it in there and generating, like I expect, a higher interest rate, then once a year we pull it out, you know, in December. But that's your guys' call. So I don't need an answer today, but that's what.
Well, we don't need to kick it down the highway. It's a question that's here, that's a legitimate question. We need to figure it out. What's your take, Don?
You're talking about the interest by
Yeah.
itself. To me, if it can be done, and I'm sure it probably can be, just you could transfer the interest out in this, you know, one time to December.
In December.
I don't know all the new auditing rules
I
that we're
think
all
that-
governed by these days,
Right.
and those are questions that Phil can, you
And
know,
so
bring
then
us up to date.
our other question was, does the 115 line item have to match the 150, basically the economic development account? And so we've got people digging downstairs for that.
So you're doing more discovery on that then?
Yeah.
Where have they gone with the interest rates in the years past, Angie?
It's just stayed in there.
Pardon?
It's just stayed in there.
Stays in that account indefinitely?
Because I look back
I don't know what
years.
the gap, I don't know what, they call it gap, I don't know what the new gap rules are. Because I know it changed everything dramatically on certain things,
I'm fairly certain it can go wherever we want it to.
and hopefully that'd be the case.
Haven't heard from them either.
I don't have a problem with it going back into it throughout the year, and then we can transfer it out in one month instead of a little bit here and a little bit there.
Right.
And if something happens to come up, or a good deal comes up and we need it and it's in there, we can use it there then.
Right.
Without having to transfer back into it.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, with interest rates increasing, don't know how long they're going to. The last thing I saw was they're gonna go higher than everybody expects. But, you know, if you have $1 million in there and that's what we have loaned out, you know, you're looking at $30,000-$40,000 a year then. Or maybe even 50,
I would like to see it generate stuff that economic development needs and has to do.
And so then they could use that.
Then they could use that as well.
Because I know they have that other shindig coming up in September.
Right, the circus,
Yeah, with all kinds of stuff there, yeah.
so.
So if you leave it in there, it's there.
It's there.
And if it, at the end of the year, if it's not needed, that could be transferred out. If it needed, it stay in.
I mean, it's still taxpayers' money, it's still available to
Right.
the county, it's just sitting over here in this fund.
Mhm.
And then if the economic development needs to do something, they don't have to come back, well, they have to come to us for approval to spend that money.
Right.
But still, we don't have to keep divvying up money to
Mhm.
them,
Correct.
which is frustrating sometimes, not just economic development.
Yeah. So cruise along as we are, but like I said, I would consider moving a bigger chunk in there if I were you guys.
Okay. So you think
Just to
we'll
me.
put another 500 in it to fund that? Okay.
How important is it to, if we move it in as we need it, keep it truly identified, and it'll be identified even if we got lump sum, but is there any value of just moving it in as we need it?
Well, that's where I was getting back to, I would like to know from the, I think the bank pays interest on that account, whereas my other account where I'm keeping it, you know, the general, $590, it's capped out at $4 million. And so anything over that gains no interest.
So just moving it
But
over
if
to
it's in
economic
there,
development's
would
gonna
it-
give you more
Interest on it.
Right.
At
Plus
1/10 to
it-
1%?
It's higher than that
Every
now.
little bit helps.
Yeah, it's more
Right
than
now, it's
that.
like 610,
Yeah.
It's how much now?
610.
610?
Yeah.
That's 6 times what you're thinking.
I'm sorry?
That's
That's
6
6
times
times.
what you're thinking.
6 times 0 is still almost 6.
Oh, yeah. When you got a decimal in front of it, it's not much.
It's not much, but it's better than what it was.
But, yeah, long story short, it's, time for you guys, and then just moving things around on this side.
I would move to put 500,000
Yeah, I
in
would
that, in that
too.
account.
I'll support it either way, I mean,
Alright.
because even with a lump sum in there, we can still identify it.
It's
It's
still-
identified.
Still comes from the general to there. If we need it in the general, we can take it right
Take it
back.
right back
out.
out, yeah, exactly. So I'd move to move 500,000 from the general fund to the economic development fund.
I'll second.
You're gonna claim more interest on it. Motion to move 500,000 from the general to economic development. Tim second. I move, Tim second. Any further discussion?
Which line item do you want it to come from?
Now you get complicated.
I know.
Where'd the 300 come from?
Did we do capital outlay or community
Yes,
improvement?
it was community improvement.
We didn't take our capital out, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's what
Community
it's doing.
improvement reserve.
Mhm. Correct,
Economic development loan fund, right?
correct.
Okay, Jesse moved.
I move, Tim
I'll-
seconded.
I seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. You said that was community improvement reserve, is that what you call it?
No, general fund,
General.
community improvement.
General fund.
And the interest basically stays till the end of the year, and we'll see what's up.
Yeah, we'll see what that
Okay.
does there.
All right, works great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Very
Richard.
well, thank you. I'm just a tad bit behind. Extension, Darryl. Anybody need a break?
No, it's not gonna take long.
Not gonna take
No,
long.
no.
Maybe before Tom.
Look at me, I was Jill.
Okay. Couple things we would like to present, I guess. First of all, in our planning, in the renovation, we're looking at doing kind of a workstation work area off to the south side of the program area that we're developing. Our initial plan had been to reuse some of the cabinetry and sink, from the kitchen renovation. The size and the configuration of those cabinets isn't working out for the area. So we were looking at maybe just doing something real basic. Couple small cabinets, we'll still use the sink that was there. But then this cabinetry would match up with what they're doing in the kitchen now, which wouldn't be the same. But anyway, was wondering if you'd consider a change order. Mike had put some figures together, cost of about $1,600 to do that, would be the additional. Is this the only change order you have? To date.
Are you far enough along to know if this is the final?
What's that?
Are you far enough along to know if this will be the final change order?
As far as,
I would say we're pretty close.
I think, as far as we know, this is kind of the only one with the renovation that we're
Are they
talking about.
commercial grade or residential?
They're residential, yeah.
And on your front page, it was $1.60. You missed a comma on the.
Oh, should have been
I
a
was going to
comment.
approve the $1.60. But 1,600, I don't know about.
Yeah, well, I think I got the new amount right, though. So, yes, sorry about that.
I guess, I need a motion to approve change order, do we have a number? Yeah, order number 04042-022-1, I guess is a change order, right? For cabinetry work that was installed for $1,600, bringing the new contract amount to $52,200.
I think the time to, make all the improvements in there needs to be done at this time, so also move.
Dawn's moved.
All second.
10 seconds, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Did you say aye?
I said
Okay,
aye.
okay, I didn't hear.
Oh, was Jill looking at me? No way.
She's staring a hole through you, Bob.
Do I need to sign that? I wrote that down, sorry.
And the second item was kind of in all this, one thing that we had kind of failed to think about, I guess, or address, was signage for the building. The executive board was wondering if you all would consider financing the signage. I've been working with Cofelt over, and it seems like everybody I talk to in town is using Cofelt for their signs. So I visited with them. I've been working with Rick, and this is kind of what he's come up with for us. Something that kind of stays with the aesthetics and the style of the signs, Bumgar's and the liquor store, and something similar to that. The pole, it would stand about 10 foot off the ground. I think that's a 10-foot pole. The sign itself, I think he said was 6 by 4 or something like that. It would be an illuminated sign.
Be illuminated,
Yeah,
lighted sign.
It'd be a lighted sign.
Facing both ways, or
Yes.
just the front, east and west?
Yeah, east and west.
Why does it need to be lighted? You guys aren't there after dark anyway.
We're not, but the building is, I guess.
Is there a code?
Yeah.
Is there county code on signs? Have you checked with the zoning about signage?
I talked with the city, and they've sent me
I guess it's
the regulations and stuff there, so yeah, we would have to conform with that. But I guess, Bob, just from the fact of visibility.
What makes
all-
the difference
all
if
night
it's lit
long.
up at night?
I don't know, makes.
My concern is K-State is 3 times as big as Coffee County.
Mhm.
If K-State wants to put signs up for K-State, let them pay for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Will
don't think
K-State-
it needs to be lighted.
Have you approached them yet?
No, we were just working with
Would
it.
it do you any good?
Yeah, probably not. No, not for signing,
No.
yeah.
It,
But,
it kind of promotes them, or it kind of promotes them.
I mean,
But
K-State,
sure it does.
I mean, it would, yeah, we would have to budget it in, somehow, that way, but,
Darrell, I think it'd be a plus to be lit, even though you're not there. But, because a lot of people do shopping around there, after dark, but, we've invested 50 plus in the building. You got a great location, really modernized. I think it's time maybe for K-State to help us out a little bit,
Okay.
is my opinion.
I personally don't think it ought to be lit. I don't think it's that important that it's lit up when you're not there, and I just don't think that that's an expense. Somewhere, some of these little wants things, we gotta start cutting back to what's really needed.
Okay. We got a nice building,
So there's two opinions.
we got a nice building. Gave the courthouse more space, remodeled the building for the most part. I think, I side with the other two.
I'd say let's see if K-State will help
runs
out.
some money on this,
Okay.
so.
All right.
We didn't have a sign here in the courtyard
No?
Yeah.
for it, but.
Yeah,
I mean,
But most everybody knew the extension
Right.
office was in the courthouse.
right.
The SDS doesn't have a big old sign out front, do they?
No, well, not like that, no,
No,
they've
they
got,
don't have
they've
one
got a
like that.
sign.
Who does it all?
Huh?
Who does?
SDS. They don't.
NRCS.
They haven't got
Yeah.
nothing out front.
They don't have that, people know where they're at, and they're utilized, aren't there street signs, street lights in that area?
Yeah, I think they're, yeah,
So,
I
I
think
mean, that's kind of my point is,
they're, okay. All right. So,
see what you can do and come back.
what's that?
See what you can do with them and then come back.
Come back.
Whatever.
Okay.
Well, I do know that, did Rick put anything on how long this bid is good for?
No.
Probably 30 days.
I would imagine.
Probably
Yeah,
won't
the
be
way
that
things-
long.
The way things
Yeah.
are changing.
You might check with him, because
Okay.
I know things are changing, and I know Rick and Stacy personally, so.
They seem to be good people.
They're good people.
Yeah, yeah, he's been a lot of help.
They're good
Can't hold that
people.
price forever.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, that's a change order signed, right?
Are you gonna do mine?
Yeah.
Okay, if you can sign
down
that.
to
we can get
sheriff.
that.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's take a 10-minute break. Everybody good with that? 10-minute break?
Sure. That'll work.
Well, yeah, these are my, I'm gonna check to see if I need to handle. Well, here's what my question is. Why is she being? So, I don't see an error. Because the order correctly is March.
I'll hear that. Exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, yeah, you can send stuff and make money right now, but can you find replacements? If you don't, ouch.
I'll be around.
Probably don't want to give any money for this demonstration. I don't either.
I'm afraid I'm like,
Good, how are you guys?
Doing good. Are you behaving? Okay.
yeah, I don't,
Screw us out.
I didn't know what,
I'm glad he did.
refill time.
Tom should be here.
Tom Johnson?
Yeah, I just heard some sirens though. He may be
pulling in.
He may be pulling out.
Well, I guess.
We got a whole bunch of,
We got a bunch of stuff here we can get started on, signing, waiting on him. Correspondence. Must be all the checks that we signed the other day.
yeah, this here's a quarterly report.
Oh. Well, that's right, the quarter is over with, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
This here is the end of the year, this is 13 months report.
That's a proclamation. Yeah, we heard sirens going, so I don't know if that was him leaving or. There's the check.
He's on his way back, if he had a call with you, so he's on.
Okay.
Okay. Is that the telephone?
Don't look at me, I can hang it up or mess it up real quick.
Hi, Don.
Hey, Tom wanted me to let you know he's supposed to be in the commission meeting at, 10:30. But we had an officer have an emergency, place out at the reservoir, or out at John Redmond. And so he's gonna be out there, he's gonna be late.
Okay,
So he doesn't know how long it'll take.
okay, maybe he can just update us, or you guys can update us in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let you know when he's back, when he's headed back this way.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
alright, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
$11,000 one in there. That was good computer, R&D computer systems, like,
See, we moved on two of them
Yeah.
last week, one was 11 and one was 14 or 15.
that was Brad stuff, wasn't it?
That was Brad.
Yeah, okay.
See, here's the Eagle one,
Okay,
and it's 14, I think there's those,
yep.
One
Eagle
was-
Technologies, yep.
well, we spend a lot of money on them every year.
Yes, we do, and we don't spend near as much as we used to though, because we cut down on the size of stuff.
That's a big. Anything else covered?
Supposed to rain today?
Small chance.
Did you get any rain over at your?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It rained and rained and rained.
Rain good, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It gapped open on us down there, had just a very little trace in the bottom of the gate.
Really?
Everything went north and south. Pardon?
You didn't get hardly any.
Not even enough to dampen the sidewalk, that's all. It split there west of us at Gridley area.
Surely in the season for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it needs to start that stuff.
We're in good shape right now.
Good.
Yeah. Still a little bit of stock water needed in a few ponds that don't have a lot of drainage, but. Is Wade got anything for that?
I think it's that, we have the round table, see if we're waiting on time.
Yeah, I mean, since we get everything signed, we can,
Yeah,
I mean, we need to go through these
Right.
wordings for replacement of Wayne. Everybody review them this weekend?
I haven't reviewed them as much as I need to.
It's already April.
Yep.
I can't remember. I think it was this one here, Clark County one, is that the one that? No, the Marion County one,
Pardon?
it was the Marion County one. Why do I?
Yes, done?
Hey, Tom's on his way back to the courthouse.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.
Oh. Since they got the tanks moved down at there, we're gonna let bids out for demolition.
Bobby's got the, I reviewed the bid documents. There was I do need to bring that up, there was a little bit of information about waiving landfill fees for removal of the old, filling station down here. I said, why would we not waive the landfill fees we do for everything else?
Yeah, and and it's our own, we look
Right.
at it, and it's our own, and why would we require it in a bid when it's just gonna turn right around and cost us money?
It cost us more money,
To
so.
not do it, and I think we might want some of the stuff.
Well, right, I mean, you got the awning, you got, I mean, your metal price, you know,
Hey, there is a pole down there we could give.
You call that concrete, it might fit well, a lot of concrete, yeah, a lot of concrete.
Yeah.
Need to talk about where they get to it.
Cause I went with.
About 7 pages in there. Some of them only had one signature on them. There's more.
morning, Wade.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Okay, I'll go through.
All right, sorry.
Okay, I went through them, I thought.
Did you have a good weekend?
They're hard to catch.
Recovered from a rough week last week. Bunch of late nights and dealing with some cases that required a lot of time and attention. But, so the sheriff didn't show up?
He's on his way.
He's on his way back. When she went to go grab you, they called and said he was on his way back from the reservoir, so.
Gotcha. I
I
know
don't
he's
know
got
what-
probably a topic that he needs to talk to you about. So I'm glad he's coming back.
Yeah, didn't know if you had anything.
I need to talk with you for 20 minutes in an executive session, the board and myself, under the attorney-client exception, and it's specific to county policy and specifically county contracts, insurance mitigation, and potential litigation.
Okay.
And
I'm not gonna reiterate what you just said, so.
So when you go into an executive session, not only do you have to state what specific exception, which is the attorney-client, but you also have to have the subject matter. And that's why I go into, you can't just say it's attorney-client, myself and the board, without giving a subject, because if you don't, then that's potentially in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Do you think we got time to do this before Tom gets here, probably?
Yeah, it's for an executive session.
Well,
We
20
don't know
minutes.
sure how long it'll take him.
20 minutes executive session, Wade, and the board.
That's so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Don's moved, Jesse seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going to executive session at 10:45. For 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Brad put him in the key padlock, on the door. Should be unlocked, I'm gonna go make sure.
Okay.
I think you got all three now.
Okay, thank you.
I heard you were coming.
I got that one bit.
We're in a 20-minute executive session. We'll be back at 11:05.
What's going on exciting, anything?
I don't know, you tell me. Quiet weekend?
Here in Dauphin County it was. Got it.
Is that stuff going on nearby?
We didn't have anything going on this weekend. Pretty quiet.
That's good.
Very nice, so. Appreciate it, always good, do you have something good in here? Oh, I had a reckless driver that was coming in the south end of Burlington, but he had lost sight of it. It was a white, Chevy Silverado with a black GMC tailgate that had the road rage coming through Leroy. We were south of Burlington 3 minutes ago, like probably a couple miles north of the Grizzly Junction.
Did you take care of it? I did. Thank you.
take a minute. Sorry.
No problem. Oh, I saw the other day when they were putting it in. Yeah, I like that. And like I said, I just see when they were putting the threshold down over there, they were still hadn't swept up plenty of the bottom. Oh, that looks good. The insurance, I mean, it's, I think so. Yeah, yeah, I think it looks good. Pardon me? Why wasn't hearing me? Yeah, we had an officer getting that fight out, but the lake and the guy had a warrant, and so he's calling for backup. It's his emergency button, so we all go. So luckily the fisherman saw it and went and helped him try to get the guy in cuffs. So it was a mess, scary for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Morning. How are you, sir? Present accounted for, huh?
That's about it. Mr. Lewis?
Sure.
We're waiting on Mr. Una.
No.
Nope, he's gone today.
No, he's not here today.
It's your time to shine, sir.
Oh,
Great.
so hopefully it won't take up too much time here, hopefully a few minutes. So Goldberg has been in touch last week and said that they're ready to get all of their media blasts put out and everything else. They're trying to finalize everything. And they heard rumblings of, you guys may be talking about back up to 78 beds instead of 60. And they wanted to make sure before they got all of their stuff printed out and everything else that we were sure on what we wanted to do for the beds. So that's the only reason I'm here, is to figure that out.
Well, I know it's been kicked around about 3 different ways. I put out a question to Goldberg, and I think I sent that to Andrea. Didn't I send that to you, or did I send that to Angie? My question was, Osage County's 130 beds and at $19 million, and ours is at 60 beds for 23 to $27 million. And so I did get some paperwork back from him, and I think the remodeling of the courthouse was, what, $2 to $3 million? I think, so.
I'm not sure we've seen an exact breakdown on that check.
Well, I sent it to Angie.
That one I do have. I
You
can
got
print
that?
off.
Okay. So, we've got to decide what the beds are, what we're wanting.
Is Osage City got a basement under theirs, so it is just one floor?
There's a little bit of a savings
It'd be
there.
probably $1 million plus savings there.
Yeah. I just wanted some clarification from Goldberg as to why, you know, the difference was. And so when he told me that the remodel of the courthouse, or the courts down there was, and the old jail was a large, some of it, I'm good with that, you know. So I just wanted to see where it was at.
Yeah, let's need to hear me.
You know, I'm happy with the 78 beds. I'm tickled pink with 78 beds. I just don't know that the community's gonna go for it. But, that's a discussion we've got to make, and it's time to make it. What do we want?
Do you think it would, the 78, showing them that the marshal would help?
He was supposed to be getting us that. He got that in that email.
I'll give
You
you
know-
copies here.
You know, based on the numbers that Larry provided for us 2 weeks ago or whenever he was here, that extra 18 beds is, if we can get a contract for the marshals, to me, I shouldn't say a no-brainer because I'll get questioned on that, but technically, for the cost of it, doing it now is gonna be much less than it will be 3, 4, 5 years from now, and it'll pay for itself in a short period of time.
I don't think you're gonna get a contract from the marshals at this point. And I've spoken to both the Eastern District of Kansas U.S. Marshal. It does the holdings for Kansas on the eastern part of Kansas. That's Wichita East. And he's saying until your facility is 75% built, they won't even come talk to you. I mean, they'll talk to you and say, hey, if you got beds, we'll probably use them. They've said that right now, women is where they're having problems, and I think I've spoken to you about that before. You know, once you put a woman in a pod, it's done. You can't put males in there, you know. So, and he says right now that's the market, is being able to house women. Which we have pods, we could do whatever we want to with that. But still, I mean, they're saying, listen, we're not going to tell you that we're going to put 30 people in there. You don't even have this. You know, you've got it on a piece of paper.
Right.
And I understand that. I'm just trying to tell my commissioners and my public what I can do. He says, you're close enough to St. Louis to Springfield, to Kansas City, Missouri, to use the western state of Missouri too. But again, nobody's gonna guarantee us anything until it's built and they come look at it, you know?
Right.
So that's what the other places, that US Marshals will come and approve your facility and make sure that you have everything that they need, and then you'll enter a contract with them. I mean, and again, it all depends on what you wanna do. If you're willing to go take them to the hospital and sit with them, that raises the money that you get from the marshals. If you go get them instead of them having to bring to you, that raises, what they'll pay you. It's just, each check mark that you take off gets your rate of pay, more.
Yeah.
So if you say, listen, we're gonna house, and that's it, you're gonna come deliver and everything else, you're gonna get probably $60, which that's fine. $60 is better than nothing, having empty cells, but, this depends on how much service you wanna give the US Marshals. It depends on how much money you're gonna get. And the highest place in the state of Kansas right now is $105. So it's $60 to $105.
I thought we had talked 60 last time we were talking, because we were talking 30 beds, maybe we could do 30 out. When, a week or two ago when we were talking, I thought that's where we're at with the potential of more adding on, that we're build with the potential, but go with the 60 now.
Again, sirs, that's not my decision to make. You know what the experts have told you, and they told you it was, in 30 years or whatever, 4 years, you're gonna need 78 beds, but I understand that too. There was 3 issues, we know them all. The 3 issues the public had was the cost, where we were gonna put it, and the number of beds. I'm just saying that I can't move on and go talk to the public. We all can't. How are we gonna talk to the public if we don't have the answers to this question? So, it's something.
Send them down.
We have one answer, where we're gonna put it.
That's right.
We have, and that was one of their concerns, everybody's concern.
Yep.
We have that answer.
Yep.
And we still have 2 other answers, 2 we don't have.
I don't remember when it occurred.
Oh, okay.
It's when Goldberg was here several months ago, and there was a motion
Each one's a set.
to move forward, and I don't remember
Yeah,
what that
just
motion
take the
was.
set down.
You
When
know,
there was a motion to be on the west side of the building?
was a motion for the commitment of the commissioners to move forward. And I don't remember if that motion had language that said to move forward with 60 beds. You remember what I'm talking about?
But I don't know don't know.
We probably want to, because Goldberg has mentioned before that there was a motion made to move forward with X, Y, and Z. So if there's a motion that was already made.
3 different.
I think the motion included the option with the alternate. I can, and Angie probably has
Yeah,
that.
we probably want to pull that back up and see what it
Yeah,
says,
that's gonna find
because if you're going to do something different.
I did, did you have an extra one? Okay.
So this is what Goldberg sent back to me. And you can see it come in on March 28th and 9th. Then February 10th is one. And I'm not trying to nail him down, so to speak, in pricing, because we all know the pricing is off the record, going crazy. So this is just a little bit from the Coffee County Jail to maybe a little bit of Osage County, and then his breakdown, Chart A. Analyzing and I'm just trying to So they're on the second to last page of date 8/20 or 3/28. He's got the 78 bed, 42 bed. Kind of the breakdown of dollars, federal money, county money. And then number 2 is the overall revenue reimbursements. 78 beds, 85 occupancy. I'm a firm believer in you build it now and you build it right. Instead of 10 years down the road, going, oh, shoot, you know, the numbers were correct that the experts was pointing out to us. So now we need to add on, you know.
What's the life expectancy of a jail?
50 years is what they're saying. 45 to 50 years, I think, Philbrook said since day one. So look, I guess look at this one, if we use this was built in 84. So.
Pretty close, isn't it?
Yep, pretty close. So, I'm sure that in 50 years, you know, that one will need updates too. I don't know what the technology will be in 50 years. I won't be around, but in 50 years, you know. But, well, I'll be flying in cars, right? Be flying cars and, yeah.
Well, there might be outer space jails.
Yeah.
You know, instead of having them here on Earth, we'll send them to the moon.
Personally, I don't have a problem with more bids from the meeting and from the meeting we had and from just hearing comments. I honestly think that the 60 will fly, but I do not know. Not real sure that the above will fly. That's the catch. I would rather get you 60 good bids than, or anyone, whoever the sheriff.
Well, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with any decision that you make.
I mean, I would rather get those. But one thing about it, we're gonna spend money no matter what. We're going to redo some remodeling. So, I mean, they can just pretty well figure the $6 million or whatever he had here in this one deal for remodeling.
I think it's a little over
it's going to be spent basically no matter what happens, so.
With the size of this, was there room to add eventually 2 pods?
I have 2 pods.
Yeah. If we do the 60 beds,
We could add
there'll be 2 day rooms, 2 pieces of the pie that are gonna be empty. That 25 years from now, you know, what that cost will be in 25 years or 10 years or whatever, I don't know, but yeah, where they can basically just drop in a pod, you know, it's like Legos, drop in a pod, put another pod in, move it over, stack them in there and just move them over and set up the new pod with these modular cells.
It's plumbed for those 2 extra pods, if that's the direction we go.
Yes, sir, it will be, yeah.
How many beds are in a pod?
Everything's out of the back, remember, Don, these are, yeah.
Everything's out, we've seen that in Lynn County.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How many beds are in a pod?
Well, that all depends on what you want. You can make a 5-man pod, or you can make an 18. Most of them are 12 to 18.
Right.
Yeah, and they're 2 tiers. That's why you can put, you know, your 2 tiers, make your number of cells. But we can make those however we want. That's what we talked about originally, you know, was if you have a 6-man pod, you know, a small piece of the pie with 6 beds, 3 and 3, maybe that's what you use for your mental health issues, where they're segregated and that's a small amount. Then you have maybe a 12 or an 18 or whatever you want to do.
You know, the first and only meeting we've had so far was here in Burlington. And to me, most of the opposition that night was probably location. Probably the first and main opposition was location. At that time, we didn't have a set plan in place. Second one, there was a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but several, that understood it was going to be 140 to 240 beds. And we was going to be housing and dumping inmates back out in the county, which those are both totally false and both fully addressed.
Correct.
My thought, after looking at the potential revenue, my thought is maybe go halfway between the 60 and 96 and go with 78. I'm leaning towards the 78. We got a location. We're gonna remodel the jail that we currently have, which will make more office spaces that we continue to need every 6 months or every year.
Yeah.
And the more we do now, it's probably gonna be a 10% savings for every year we wait. Now, that's a projection.
Right.
But not very seldom anything ever comes down.
Yeah. Yeah.
My thought, Tom, we've got the location in place, and I haven't technically heard any opposition on that. There may be a little bit because it's close to the school, but we're close to the school now. No inmate's gonna be dumped out in the county. They'll all go back, my understanding, those that we house will all go back to where they come from.
If you're talking about federal inmates?
Federal inmates, yes.
That's correct.
Absolutely federal inmates.
Yeah, we'll make a
Our
provision.
current inmates will be,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They're captured here, they'll be released here unless they get expedited
Right.
some other state.
Right, unless they extradite out of here, or another county has a warrant, and they come get them, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah. No, every facility that I've talked to that signed the MOU with the U.S. Marshals has said, no inmate's gonna be released here. We'll bring them back to Kansas City, or back to Wichita, or back to wherever, and you release them from your facility, because they're not being released in our county. So that's obviously something that can be put into it, but I agree with that, that we do that. But again, we're looking at 16, 18 months, once everything's done, before you even, talk about completion. We're talking about having 75% of that done. What'll be the need, in 2 years? Nobody's gonna know. Are they gonna take every single bed we have that's extra? Or are they only gonna have, 15, 10, whatever? We don't know that. Nobody knows that.
They can't do the what ifs.
That's right. All we can say is this is what we're doing right now. This is what our projection is. And that's all we can do is be upfront and honest with them.
To me, we got firm answers, once we set the bed and everything else, and to me, we have firm answers to go to our citizens with.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm gonna support 78 more than M's. Because for no more than it will cost now, although it's $800 to $1 million, it'll pay for itself and projected at 2 years. And so that's a little bit of a projection. I mean, that's not a firm deal, but it is a pretty good projection. Because they say they're gonna need 12,000 beds here in the Midwest in the next short time.
To me, the 18 beds, we know the cost of them, the extra cost. And, if we can put mental or martial prisoners in those, either one, to me, would be an advantage.
Or female.
Yes.
Any federal prisoner, period.
Yeah.
Like I told U.S. Marshals, I don't care whether they're male or female. You tell me you got 18 females that I can take, I'll take them. I don't care. They got a pod by themselves,
Right.
And that's what this is being built for, is for that security, so.
One of the questions that I think I don't know, at the top of it, RM and P draft 11, 78 beds, that sheet that was handed out.
Dated March 29th?
Yes, 28.
28.
Yep. On page 2, and it says, chart B for jail operations. And at the very bottom, estimated jail operations at proposed Justice Center, $1.372 billion, less 22 budget, 596,680, net difference 775, 954. I think that's the question that has to be answered. What's the difference in that cost? This talks about 78 beds. What is 60 beds? What is that operating cost? What is that difference? Over the weekend, I was approached by someone asking So you need a jail, you've got a location, how are you paying for it, and what's the cost? These are the costs that you're gonna get a lot of questions about, which is why it's important that you have someone tied to, the financial sector on this committee, so these questions can be fleshed out. If you don't have the beds and they aren't full, and you're anticipating the revenue from the marshals or somebody else, where does that difference come from? Who pays for that? Ultimately, it ends up being the taxpayer. And one of the citizens who talked to me said, I'm not as offended by having my taxes raised if you can explain to me that it's done for a good reason. Now, other people are gonna have a problem with that, but I just want that to be out there, because that may be ultimately what the elephant in the room is. How does that, what does that look like? Because we're all assuming that the marshals will come through and they will be able to provide, these beds are gonna be taken care of for X period of time, but what if they don't? And I know Goldberg said he doesn't see that happening, but who thought that Russia would invade another country?
Or COVID again, what if COVID comes up again? Yeah,
So I want that to be something that is at least on everybody's minds and thoughts, because that's gonna be something that there's gonna have to be a pretty crystal clear answer. You can't predict the future, but these estimated costs and how they're gonna get paid for, I think, need to be handled up front.
Well, I mean, if the county can't afford to build a 60-bed, $23 million facility, they darn sure can't afford to build a 78-bed, $27 million facility. I mean, so nobody ever said wasn't gonna use taxpayer dollars to pay for it. It was said that wasn't gonna raise any taxes to pay for it.
Sure.
So, I mean.
So what is the difference, if you go with 78 and you've got the motion where at least the commitment was for 60?
This motion that you circled?
Yep, and the front page of that.
That was for fiberboard.
Oh, did I circle the wrong one? Sorry.
Tom, it's on the front page, I think.
It's on the front page.
Between 60 and 78, how many more jailers would you have to have? I mean, the way this is set up.
Again, we've talked about it since day one. The most I would have to have at this point, what we believe, is I need 4 more jailers to cover
Number 10.
78 beds. It's not the number.
Over 60?
Yeah, sorry.
78 beds, I would need 4 extra people. The issue is not because you get more inmates that you need more personnel. This is the type of jail structure that, again, your hands-on is limited now. That's what's so nice about this.
If you went 60 beds, would you still need those extra 4?
Probably transport.
So, I mean, to me, okay, that's all, that's what I wanna know.
Yeah.
You're not,
Yeah,
that doesn't cost any more than to go the extra beds as far as the jailers.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna limit my personnel. I mean, I'm probably gonna need at least 4 more. That's what Goldberg thinks is another 4. You know, he said originally, if you do get, let's say we had 78 beds, and you have 30 federal inmates in here, you may need to hire, another couple of guys just to do transports. You may be over-inundated with making transports, but to begin with, we talked about 4, and that's what I've always said. There's an additional 4 people when this gets up and running.
But if we do that, we're gonna get paid for those transports.
Absolutely, it's federal government, you bet, $105.
We'll pay for
$105 a day.
They'll get paid for those transports.
That's right, yeah. If they're not gonna pay me, I'm not gonna make transports,
Right.
I'm not gonna sell them to the hospital. They can get a U.S. Marshal down here or somebody to do that, but, yeah.
Well, on February 14th, Knight moved to approve proposed 60-bed law enforcement center to be placed west of the county courthouse, to include 60-bed, a partial basement, and renovations to the county courthouse as exhibited in the graphics document labeled option 1 and date February 7, 2022, for the estimated amount between $25 and $27 million, seconded by Leeds. So, we made the motion for a 60-bed.
The one line item on page 2, jail staffing estimates including all functions and ranks, 866. how much of that is already in place to house, take care? Because all the jailers you have currently, the only increase is gonna be those 4 jailers.
No, I mean, it's gonna be clothing, you know.
Yeah, but it won't, new jailers in the kitchen, not gonna add $866,000 to it.
No, it's already, that's the overall cost, but right now.
That's overall cost.
Right, but.
So that changes this bottom line down here.
So right now, with 4 more people, is basically what Don's saying. Right now, with 4 more people on your staffing, it's still not gonna total $866,000.
See, that changes that whole scenario coming down through there.
Is that a fair statement?
I mean, I guess I don't understand the question again.
How much of that 866 is already in place as an annual budget for your current jailers?
For your current staff, overall staffing
Current
requirements. So that would be,
The 866 is what it's gonna be for all of them, no matter, the way I took it, for all of them.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter what the existing is, or how many more he's gonna get, that's what it's gonna be, basically an estimated total for officers, is
Yeah.
that correct?
But what I'm saying is, this whole scenario, that 866, your new employees probably won't add $300,000 to it. So the 866, for the addition and going up to 4 new employees, 4 new jailers, and if you put a kitchen to it, that's 7 people, the total cost will not be 866. Part of that 866 you already have in your annual budget for your current jailers.
But this is not explaining the difference between what's current and what's gonna be, this is what's going to be.
That's the reason this number's too high to get down here.
so you're saying it's gonna, I don't know, what's your budget now? 650,000?
For your jailers.
Almost 600,000, 596,000 or something.
So this is basically saying it's gonna be $14 million. No, $1,400,000.
That's 1.3 million is what he's saying, and with my current budget of 596,680, that would leave $775,000 to come up with, to pay for either through county reserve funds or through the 100, prisoners or the 78 prisoners we have in there, or whatever that may be.
I have a hard time believing it's gonna cost $1.3 million to operate this jail over the top, I mean, over the top of what we're already.
Well, there's what you're seeing right there, is like there's 105,000,
in clothing.
just for clothing and all the meals, and then and again, you're playing games here, because if you only have, 45 people in the jail, some of this prison medical is not gonna come out, but
Right.
266,000 for that, utilities, then everything else, 134,000 adds up to be 1.37 million.
See, I'm reading this different, because I'm reading this as if we started from day scratch, this is what it would cost.
I agree.
It's not the difference between what we have now and what it's going to be.
The only difference
This
you have
what
now
would
is what it
cost.
says, less 2020 budget down at the bottom, which is $596,000.
Net extra cost is $775.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Extra cost.
And see, your potential income on farming out 30 beds is greater than what that is in 1 year.
That's what we've said. I mean,
In 1 year.
that's what they project, yeah.
So like I said, to me, try to find common ground is go with at least 78.
I don't know, we need to get it nailed down, so Goldberg can start, to change 78, we need to rescind the motion from.
Just to answer your question, Don, so just out of county prisoners, if we had an average of 88, 45, so you're talking $83,000 for 6 beds, if you just had 6 beds at 365 days. 30 beds at $88.50, that's a median price, was $872,000, so that answers your question. Hopefully, you can get enough people around here to.
See, that take care of your increased cost.
I think.
Correct, sir.
This stuff needs to be to the public. How are you gonna justify paying for the extra beds that are there? That number, granted, it is a kind of a number that's pulled out of the air, but you don't know what the number is gonna be until the federal marshals come in and say, yes, we want this many beds. So, but at least you're trying to make up for some of the extra expense.
Right.
Overall costs.
Correct.
Sure.
And plus look for the future.
Would you, so we've focused on federal inmates, I know there's mention in there KDOC inmates, but let's say, for instance, you have another county, and I know someone, in another county, a sheriff in another county told me that they were housing for Sedgwick County because Sedgwick County didn't have, that they were maxed out.
Right.
Would that be something, if the federal inmates weren't available, you could house for other counties like Sedgwick?
Sedgwick and Johnson County take 2 buses southbound I-35 and 2 back northbound every day, going and getting prisoners to come back for court or transport prisoners someplace because they don't have the bed space, and that's Wichita and Johnson. Now again, you know, it's been going on since I've been an officer here. You know, you just have those facilities that don't have the space. And again, you know, you talk to them and see if they're willing to do that, but again, in 2 years, if the ground gets broke and the building gets built, then we can start making those phone calls.
It's costing them a lot of money to do that. A lot of money to move those prisoners back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, yes, sir.
A lot of money.
Yes, sir.
And the risk.
Yeah. Transport risk, that's one of your biggest risks, yes.
That's your biggest risk.
Yeah.
Say if you build it, they'll come.
Yes, sir, that's what we're told. Everybody else is telling me that's building theirs is saying that, you know, Lynn County's one of them, Anderson County's one of them, but Lynn County said that U.S. Marshal's already been there, and they're supposed to open up this month, 15th, I think. And U.S. Marshal's already went down and said, let's see your plans, and they pulled the plans out, and the U.S. Marshal looked at it and said, Goldberg built this? Yep, I don't need to see the plans anymore. He builds jails that we like. Let's go see your facility. And they left and walked over, and 2 hours later they say, okay, let's get down to it. What are you going to do for us, and what can we do for you? And that's when they went through their MOU contract and decided what they were going to do.
From day one, I've always been being sensible about the whole thing.
Here's the issue. Like I said, it's already been passed for a 60 bed, right? You've already done that. It's already been, motion's already made, it's been passed. Do we stay with the 60 bed and 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if the time comes up that we're full, and this will be paid off, guys, in a lot less time than that. And at that time, the more prisoners we can get in, it may be worth to do that. Maybe there's going to be a new courthouse built at that time. Then we can always pour in more beds. You've already, you know, originally, if you remember, and I said I was going to be here 20 minutes, that was going to be too long. But you remember in your initial work that we did, we had this bond question made up, and you said that we wouldn't do anything without taxpayer approval. You couldn't put any more beds in here. And so if that's the choice, then in 10 or 15 years, if that time comes out, you'll have to put it back out to the voters to see if you can put in 18 or 20 more beds or whatever. And that's fine with that. I'm fine with that.
And maybe that's the way it ought to be.
So
as time goes on, if they need more, then whoever's doing it can, at that time. I mean, yeah, it's gonna cost a little bit more, but everything else is gonna cost more too at the same time.
if we have the ability to get this passed and be upfront and honest, since we've always been, when we've been that from day one, but if that's one of the 3 issues is the cost, then again, I agree that those 18 beds is not going to make a heck of a lot of difference, but it is to somebody that's their complaint. So if in 15 years they say you're full, and the next sheriff comes up and says we need more beds, and they say, oh my goodness, what are you doing? We tried to do this in 2022, and you didn't want us to do that. You know, so guys, I'm prejudiced. I need a new facility. And the longer we sit here, the worse it's going to hurt. So, if I can get 60 beds, I'll be happy. I'll go home and go to bed and sleep fine tonight.
I just don't wanna do something because we've already passed that.
I know.
So,
So,
but a decision needs to be made,
We are
gentlemen.
providing to make it a lot simpler and a lot less expensive for them 10 years from now to add more.
and
That's right.
simpler.
It's set up to where there's 2 empty pods
Yep.
that they can dump pods into. We always talked about we were gonna make it so we could expand, so we wouldn't have this issue again in 30 years, in 50 years, whatever the choice may be. That's why we're doing what we're doing. The offices are gonna be bigger. There's more space for storage, everything else that we're gonna do. Because again, we don't plan on moving for another 50 years.
So, I know there was options for the basement as well.
Yep.
So do we need to nail down the basement, put full basement under it, instead of a partial? I mean, I'm just trying to get as much.
I think right now with the, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's right.
I think right now with, when we sat down with Goldberg last, he just sent new plans last week, because we wanted some things changed. Sorry.
That's all right.
What kind of agree with Tom, we can get to 60, let's get it, and they can add on, they can do,
One of our inmates.
someone else is gonna be doing it
I'm okay right now.
10, 15, 20 years from now. It's
Yeah.
gonna be someone else's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Do the option, make it as easy to add on later on, stay with the 60? Is that good?
Again, sirs, if that's what we decide to do, you decide to do with 60, you know, you said that's where we wanna do, the project is right in the parking lot, then again, let's move on, and let's, if the taxpayer voted down, we've done all this for nil anyway.
Exactly.
So we don't have to worry about doing something in our existing facility for the same amount of cost almost for another 4 beds. But all I wanna be able to do is walk back down and call Larry and say, it's 60 beds, get the media stuff done.
Well, I know Tom wasn't in favor of anything over 60 beds. I mean, because of the public that he catches.
And we've got 2 problems taken care of, a location and number of beds. The next thing is to, no doubt whatsoever, to figure out how it's gonna be paid for, you know, so we can tell the public it's coming from this or this or this, and that's our 3 issues.
Yep.
I'm happy with that.
As far as I'm concerned, you can call Goldberg.
Okay, I'll tell him to get it done.
And, you know, I know I've mentioned I was more in favor of 78. This
Yep.
needs to be a unanimous vote between the commission, and I will fully support what's already been
I
done.
appreciate it, yeah. I
It
mean,
needs to be a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a 3-2 or 4-1 or
That's right.
whatever.
Yeah, and you guys, I think you guys,
Also-
I think you voted for 5-0 last time on the 60
Well,
vote.
it's already been, so, it's already been.
That's what I'm saying. I think
Doesn't
it's
matter,
5-0.
doesn't matter whether it was a 3-2 or whether it's
Yeah, I think it was
5-0.
5-0.
It's important.
It was still a commission decision.
It's
Right.
important to be unanimous, though.
Yeah, I think it was 5-0 last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it was 5-0.
Yeah,
it's gotta be 5-0.
I don't
It's gotta be
agree-
unanimous.
I don't agree that everything has to be unanimous.
Yeah, I understand, I'm just saying, I think it was 5-0 last
But
time.
it was.
You'd be
Okay.
surprised what that tells the public though, here. 5-0.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm pleased with it. I always want to go for the plan for the future as much as possible, and in my eyes, this is really not planning for the future as much as possible as we can up front when the costs are gonna be, who knows, maybe the prices will go down.
Let's hope.
Never.
Yeah, let's hope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Sorry, I told you 20 minutes, it's been over 20.
That's fine.
Stuff we gotta get hashed
Yeah.
out. See you later. Have a good day. All right, Mr. Wade,
I already talked about what I had.
you don't have anything else?
No, sir. I think the committee is sort of put in place, and I think that just needs to get ramped up, and Goldberg will probably start setting some meetings for that committee to convene. Hopefully we have an accountant or someone similar to an accountant on the committee. I don't know, did
The
that-
one, the financial person did confirm.
They did? Okay, good. I think that's an important component of that committee. So, hand it to them and let them get updated and educated, and then move on from there.
We'll just kind of be in the background for the most part until we go to meetings.
Good.
Now, they're gonna set up the town hall meetings around the committee?
At this point, I think starting off with the committee, getting the committee up to speed, and then from there, I think it ends up, I don't know if it's the committee, I don't know, I think in Osage County, it was the sheriff who went out, and from time to time had a commissioner show up, but it was the sheriff who did the lion's share of the work. I did ask Goldberg, if you remember, and it was Sheriff Wells up there who would go out and sort of, and who knows the current conditions of the jail better now. I think a couple of those meetings Goldberg went to, so Coffee County may be a completely different setup, and it may require a special meeting from the board so citizens could come out and ask questions and voice their support or non-support, similar to what they did at the special meeting back in September. I don't know, Coffee County may be a different setup. But I still think it's important to go out to the four corners of the county, to go to Levo, to go to Leroy, to go to Strong, to go to Gridley, Burlington, Waverly.
I agree.
We, and my position has been, I think it's your position as a board, that it's a Coffee County project, not just Burlington, and to not just focus on Burlington.
Hear, hear. The fun begins.
As I always say, pressure is a privilege.
Yes.
Each of you is not in the seat you're in because you didn't want to have to handle pressure. You're here because you want to handle pressure. It's not easy to sit in those seats.
No, it keeps sliding in.
That's all I have.
Okay, sir. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Angie, do you have anything for roundtable today?
Well, I wanted to bring up about the ARPA funding you guys were talking about last week.
Okay.
I talked with Taylor with the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission this morning, and she said that the best number that she can give us right now is the $773,545. She said that that number is a moving number and can change. So, kind of like when you were talking about the dust control earlier this morning. She said, like, if the school doesn't expend all of the funds that they have gotten, then we'll get that money back, which then we would put that into the revenue loss control fund. If they spend more and then they come back for us, then that number will decrease because we've had to pay out more. So she said that's the best number she can give, and she said probably the way we worded it last week, just to put any remaining funds, because this number can change a little bit.
Change. Moving target.
So.
Well, we got a rough number.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think. I don't
What's
know.
the time frame on it needing to be spent?
Well, for the reporting to the federal government was April 1st.
I realize that. What's the time that it needs?
You know, I think that's a question we'd probably have to ask Bobby. I don't know.
I was under the impression that rolling it over to this fund sheltered it.
Kind of
Sheltered.
unlimited.
You didn't have it
Yeah.
timeline. Once you rolled it
That's what
over.
I thought too, but.
Yeah, we had to have it
didn't-
rolled over to that other account by April 1st, or this did to go back.
Mhm.
And
Be
so
interesting.
this
Be
is a
interesting.
shelter.
Oh, it
I'll
says
agree
it
with
was
that.
like 25 or something.
What's
I
that?
thought it was somewhere like 25, it had to be by 25,
Oh, 2025?
yeah.
Oh, I don't think, I think they've lifted some of the restrictions on it.
It'd be interesting to see what classification Phil puts on that.
Well, we've got it, where we'll put it into that ARPA fund, and then that way when they do a single audit, they'll have all the expenditures coming from there. Because they will have to do a single audit on anything like that, so. And then the other thing is, we do have the results of the timesheet payroll survey, and I don't know if you guys want to go into executive session to view those. It was confidential survey sent over from HR Partners that they conducted, and then they gathered all the information and put it into this survey. So
Okay.
before I hand that out, I didn't know if you wanted to go into executive session to look
Well,
it
that'd be a
over.
question for Wade.
Okay.
If you wanna,
Let's see if Wade's available.
Yep.
There's no names.
No, there's no name, but there is information where I suppose would someone possibly know?
You could, yes, actually, with Christina, I've actually seen this, so you can tell who some of them are.
Okay.
We can tell.
it'd probably be best.
So then it's gonna have to be an executive session. That would be
And-
with you, Wade, and us.
Depending on who you want. And
Yeah, 'cause she
He's one that,
did it, has them, it's not a secret. Yeah.
he's going.
okay. He just thought he was done for the day.
You got one bite of the sandwich, eh?
We decided you weren't ready to go yet.
Angie has the survey from HR Partners of the, go ahead, Angie.
The results of the payroll and timesheet survey.
Can I see what it?
Yep. And I didn't know if they wanted to go into executive session.
What was the number of responses to that survey?
Pretty good. They gave a number on the back. Well, on the second page. Number of employees, 155, number of participants, 104, so 67% responded.
Pretty darn good for a survey.
Yes, it is.
I'm surprised for that type of a survey and what we was talking about, it wasn't much higher than that, though.
Some of those ways I can figure out who the people are, that's why we're asking about executive session.
I think anything in some of the comments. Although it's not necessarily names, it does, some of the comments does appear to reference specific county departments. And then I don't know, reading between the lines, you end up being able to,
Some of them actually some employees, I think, if you read between the lines.
Did it state confidential in the questionnaire when it was sent out?
Yes, when HR Partners sent it out,
It was confidential,
confidential
so
survey.
then it can't be open meeting, I
So
don't
this
think.
is, so it does, I didn't see at the very bottom, it says confidential information.
So we have to go, because you got 67% that did this, and I think we owe it to the county employees to keep it 100% confidential going into executive session to
So-
discuss non-elected personnel.
Well,
No,
but you're not
we're not
talking
discussing.
about specific non-elected personnel. So, I'm just trying to figure out, so the comments, I don't know, I'd have to think about it. I don't think the comments are what I have in this.
Could they be took out of it?
Well,
Then you don't have a complete
You
vote.
know, complete, yeah.
well, I'm thinking about for public consumption. I don't think so the questions, for example, question 1, do you have an issue concerning moving to an electronic time clock? Yes, 38, no, 65. Is that something that I think is open for public consumption? I think it is, because
Yeah.
if the county decides to go with an electronic timekeeping software, I mean, what is the justification? What do the county employees think? Now, the comments, I'd have to, and I don't know the answer off the top of my head, because I think some of them are pretty specific that might be problematic in my mind. How could I? So the comments for now, I'd hold on whether they would be open for consumption, because I can't answer that question off the top of my head. I just have to go through an analysis, and I can't. I just need more time to do that.
Probably something we need to put
We'll
on for
look at
next week.
next week.
I think, but
I mean, we got interviews at 1 and 2 next
One
week.
and two.
So it'll be a long.
Tomorrow, next week will be a doozy. I mean, the only thing I could think of there is if you just got the results of 35 people yes, 24 people no, whatever it is, then but as far as the comments go, I don't know that we
well,
need.
the comments are what the problem is. And
Right.
I don't know if generic comments, I'm not sure.
But I think the comments should be important to us as for the reason why people answered the way they answered.
Well, so, yeah, I mean, we'll just have to, I'll have to think about it over the next week.
Okay.
That's the best answer I can give you.
Okay.
Let's table this issue.
Issue tabled.
Okay.
Subject
Table till further down the road.
Sounds good.
Alright.
So should I email them individually, so they have them, or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Yep.
I don't have anything else.
You don't have anything else? Bobby, do you have anything for us today?
Just want to let the commissioners know that next week, you'll have, responses to an RF request for bid on the the demolition of the building, and I just want you to expect it.
Just have one thing. I've been invited to Lincoln, Nebraska. On the 30 by 30, they're having a summit. And on the 30 by 30 up there with Governor Ricketts, they give a whole list of names going over, basically bring it up to the attention where maybe it gets more action opposing it. I'm gonna be going, I just wanted to make everybody aware. It is on the 22nd. I went ahead and filed and got registered, and I paid, it was $75, but I'm gonna be paying that out of pocket.
Basically just to bring more awareness to the state of Nebraska,
Yes.
30 by 30 plan.
Yeah.
Got my blessing.
Cause right now, it looks like the public, from the polls, are saying 80% of the people support it.
Wow. Wow.
And they're standing up for property rights and hopefully bring,
That's in Nebraska.
yeah.
Support.
That's nationwide, supporting
supporting.
the 30 by 30.
Oh, wow.
And that should be scary to a lot of people.
Mercy, mercy, mercy.
I don't know why it'd be much difference between Kansas and Nebraska, although I haven't seen any percentages.
That was a percentage nationwide.
Well, as a nationwide.
Nationwide,
Just
people
wasn't Nebraska.
supporting the 30 by 30.
That's scary.
Yes, it is.
Think of how many of those people, though, are in cities.
That's the problem.
And you ain't gonna take we're not gonna take 30% of their yard.
No.
0 plus
So they don't-
0
so
still
they don't
0.
care.
Yeah.
Oh, that's concerning.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've been invited by 3 stewards, what is the name of it? American Stewards of Liberty is involved in this. I was invited by them and got a couple of more letters sent to me, so I figured I'd take my time off and head up.
Enjoy the trip.
3.5 hours one way.
Yep. Yep.
And that was it.
Mr. Bob, you got anything for
I think Bobby just answered the question I was gonna have.
Oh, okay.
On if we getting ready to send out bids for demolition. And those will be ready next week.
Yes, sir. It'll be in the paper this week. Downstairs, provided, the paper invites people to come pick up the bid specs, the packet itself.
After next week. Or is it?
No, this week.
They can do it now then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Because of the size of the project, we're not subject to the normal 3-week advertising period, but we're still gonna have a good week's worth of advertising. But I've also sent out notice through other means to people, anybody and all.
Okay.
What sets the procedure on having to advertise for 3 weeks?
This, locally, for our guidelines, county procurement is $25,000. Anything over that,
Anything over 25 would have to be sent out, published 3 weeks.
that's normal
But
procedure.
do we know what it's gonna be?
No, we don't. If it comes in more than that, then that's a predicament.
I wonder if we ought to just go 3 weeks and make sure we're right.
Yeah.
We could.
That's what I wanted to just do, it, have our bases all covered, no matter what.
I think maybe, from what I know, maybe it needs to be published 3 weeks and then all the bases are covered.
There is one overriding problem, and I'm willing to do whatever y'all tell me, but that, once they get those tanks out and get all the bad dirt out of that hole, there's gonna be a heck of a hole out there.
For
It's filling up
months'
with
time.
rainwater, and right now, the material's generally sandy, so the water is absorbing, but at some point, that water table will, that thing will fill up with water, we'll have a mess.
Is there much
Right.
contamination?
They're gonna remove all the
But
contaminants.
was there much there?
Oh, they found more than what they was thinking. Yes, sir.
But that didn't affect the cost from the state?
No, sir. We're covered. The state's paying for all of it. If they found they'll pay it for up to $2 million.
Right.
It's not gonna cost that much.
If we get $2 million for trouble, we're in bad shape.
We're in trouble, just like you said.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting in the rainy season.
So,
Can a person dike around it, put a little dike around it so it wouldn't run away? Cause just what falls in it probably wouldn't be an issue. I haven't stopped and looked at it, I mean.
yeah, but if they got the contamination out, there's nothing to worry about. If it runs away, so what? It's just stormwater.
Yeah, but you don't want a half a block running into it, and put 2 feet in it either.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. Construction's so we'll end up paying more if they have to spend more effort to get that muck out of there.
So you'd have to just pump it. They're down to clay anyway.
But it,
All you'd have to do is pump the water out.
water, more half a block runs into it, it's gonna run out into the storm drain. And if it's not contaminated stuff, it doesn't matter.
If it runs into that hole, it won't get to the storm drain.
I don't think you can pump it out of that hole in the storm drain, I don't think.
But if it fills and runs into it, that's just what it does.
Well, my main concern is I'm talking about the accumulation of water in that hole.
In the hole.
It wouldn't take one good rain to fill that thing about halfway full, and
Then what are you gonna do with it?
then the contractors will say, change order. They're gonna wanna, that's a lot of, I don't know, but if you want to go 3 weeks, we can, now's the time to make that decision.
It might be best to black plastic it, slope it, black plastic, send the water off the hole over the top, and put dirt down, stretch her out,
That would be wise.
put black plastic down to keep it from filling up.
Yes, sir.
Building a structure to have black plastic holes.
Well, you just put the black plastic down and then put dirt over the top of it, slope it, so it slopes off, so it doesn't run in, or create a big bubble,
You think it's over $25,000 project to demo that?
I don't know nothing about demolition, I don't.
I don't either.
I wouldn't think it'd run 25, but there's quite a bit of stuff there's gotta be moved.
But we're going to waive the landfill fee for that.
Yes, sir.
So that should cut down.
It might not, it might only be 10, 12, 13,000.
So,
We
I
might be
agree with
okay.
you, the sooner we can get it done, the better we are, so. And if we do that, then we wouldn't have to go all this extra work probably too. And I would say, kind of go with the idea of, when would the bids be due?
They're due on the 8th, which is next Friday. Or is it this Friday? This Friday, and
Today's the 4th.
They're due on the 8th of this,
yes, sir. And you'll award them on the 11th, or reject them.
this is the 4th,
Mm-hmm.
not very many days for,
It's pretty quick.
but I guess we could do that, and if they come in over 20, then we will then we can take care of it then and go to 3 weeks.
As long as we got the right to refuse any bid.
Oh,
Yes,
we always have that, right?
Yes, sir.
It's always all right.
Either that or we're gonna have to tarp it,
I'd say, yeah, let's go with it, and be my thing, go with it, and if it don't work, then we worry about target.
Go with it.
Fair enough.
Very well.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I had.
Ron, you got anything else?
I don't know.
I believe it was for the employee handbook. You said you made it Friday morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We made it Friday afternoon. Tom wasn't there at all, was he?
No.
Other than that, what Angie printed off from Goldberg is what I had, and we still need to decide on superintendent, or, Wayne's position, what we need to advertise, because here we are, April 1. We want to review this and take it up, and I know next week's just getting stronger, more and more.
When Wayne actually leaves at the end of July, just in case somebody mentioned August, but it's
I know.
the end of July.
I think his contract goes, I'm not sure when his contract goes to.
August.
August.
I think it is August, early September.
It's August.
Right now, we haven't sent out, we gotta get this figured out so we can advertise, number one, advertise, 30 days, probably advertising, collect, applications. That's May, June.
Can we go ahead and advertise without having
Description?
I mean, and get it done within the next week or two. But what if somebody comes in, they wanna know the requirements? Well, that's.
You don't have
That's
that.
my concern.
I think you gotta have a job description in place.
I think you gotta have a
I
job.
think we could get it out there. I
I
wouldn't
know.
think anybody would be in tomorrow.
I know, you might be surprised.
Yeah, we would.
I mean, well, Don mentioned he hadn't reviewed them.
I haven't read it as much as I should.
It shouldn't take very long to make a vote on one of them, basically. Should it?
Right, Tom had, the one Tom was on with the corrections.
Yeah.
I can't remember,
Marion
was that Marion County?
It was Marion, because he marked all.
I gave somebody in Marion County.
That is. I'm sure I agree with all
He
that.
had education, he marked all of them.
I'm not sure I agree with all that, so I marked some of them off too, but Marion.
I mean, of course, we're gonna have to give it to Wade, that's gonna be the other thing, you're gonna have to give it to him, he's gonna have to, or give it back to HR partner.
Which one do you like, Jesse?
I like the Marion County one.
Tim, you like Marion?
Yes.
Don?
It was
I have
simple.
no problem.
There
Why don't
was
we
Tom-
just, why don't we?
Tom has eliminated this two lines.
Why don't we just give this Marion to Wade and have him look at it?
And then we can
You can look at the whole thing.
And just look at it as it is.
Okay.
And then he comes back and tells us, and if we say, well, wait a minute, that's not going to apply there, we can cut it out.
Okay, I don't have the Marion, I think I gave it to somebody, so,
I gave mine to Tom.
thank you.
There's some lines on it, that's, I just wanted to tell him that, he can still look at it.
That's the stuff you was, yeah.
And he can still, Wade can still look at it and go from there, so. That way we get, at least we get started.
Yep.
I'm sure he will find something.
Get that away from me. Okay, we got that started. I don't have anything else, you got anything?
Just to let everyone know, wellness tree service is over there, starting on the trees, they should be done tomorrow, they said. And the trailer will be picked up tomorrow, it's all ready to go, it's unhooked, Creighton unhooked everything, so we'll be here tomorrow to pick that up. And Dr. Slayer said just keep it in mind, keep that company, so if we need it again, then we'll call another time. And Don had asked about the hospital, so I think they got a hold of, Angie's office to get on the agenda, maybe in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And they said there was the year-end report that they would have, but Don asked about maybe getting a 3-year report, so I'll get with them and see if they can do a 3-year.
I'd like to see a 3-year history on each, on the departments myself.
So they'll have that then?
Well, they should have the year end, they should have 2021 year end.
Yeah. It won't be audited, but they'll have it.
They won't have the quarter, or this quarter.
Yeah.
They won't have it, so. They're looking in a couple of weeks then.
Yep. Good for me.
Mr. Bobby.
I'm sorry, just to add, if you're, I think Commissioner Tim and Commissioner Dugan were the ones having ideas about the jail. If you would take that template for the demolition on the gas station and just mark it up to kind of accommodate what you have planned for the demolition on that church, the other commissioners could have a working document to maybe move on at some point, instead of recreating the wheel, so to speak.
All right.
If you wanted to, just a
So we
suggestion.
can do that 2 different phases.
We are, from what I'm understanding.
And I don't care how we do it, I've got more important things in the building to worry about, so. However you wanna do it, let's just get it down.
All right.
Where did they store the electrical?
Right now, it's actually in the building, in that back room in the basement, Creighton said everything.
So it's actually in the
church.
In the church, okay. As long as we don't forget it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't cheap. All right. Do we need to discuss anything else? Is there anything we need to discuss? There's a lot we need to discuss. Got that done. guess. Nobody else have anything else? We can adjourn at 12:16. Really can't talk about a whole lot before we go.